Welcome back to Inside Texoma. Joining me now is Rabbi Danny Kislin. He is with the House of Jacob, a synagogue here in Wichita Falls. And thank you so much for taking time to be here. We're so excited. You know, another important holiday celebration this time of the year, of course, Hanukkah. And that actually begins, if you can just tell us a little bit about the history. But first, when does Hanukkah actually start?
Hanukkah starts on the night of December 21st.
Okay.
That's when we'll light the first candle. And it goes for a succession of 8 days. Every night we light another candle until at the last night we light 8 candles.
And kind of just going back to the history, this is a long history basically that's gotten everyone to this point of actually the menorah and lighting the candles. There's a lot of significance behind that.
That's right. This all goes back really to the time of Alexander the Great. After Alexander the Great built his empire and he died suddenly when he was very young, and there was no one to take over his empire, and so it was divided into 3 parts. And one of the parts, the northern kingdom, was the Assyrian Greeks, and they took over the land of Israel. And they tried to make the Jews become Greek. And they did this through many edicts that they published against the Jewish people. They forbid them from studying the Torah, from reading their holy books. They forbid them from observing the Sabbath and other commandments which the Jewish people held very close to their hearts. And the Jewish people revolted against this, and they were able to push the Greeks out of the land of Israel. And when they did that, they were able to come back to Jerusalem to rededicate the temple, which had been desecrated by the Greeks. And when they came to rededicate the temple, they only found one small flask of pure olive oil that they could use to light the menorah, the candelabra, in the holy temple. And it would take 8 days to make new oil. And they only had enough oil for 1 day. And even though they only had enough for 1 day, they lit the menorah, they lit the candelabra. And the miracle happened that the candelabra burned for 8 days until new oil could be supplied. And so to commemorate this miracle, we light the candles. Very many people use oil menorahs or candelabras, but candles are also just as good. And we light it for a succession of 8 days to commemorate the 8 days of the miracle of Hanukkah.
How important do you think that is? That's a great way for families today to even teach young ones, wouldn't you say, about the miracle that happened back then?
That's right. It's a very important holiday, although it's not a biblical holiday. It's not some of the holidays that we find written in the Bible. It came much later, about the year 165 BC was about the time when all of this happened. So it was much later. But Hanukkah really has taken on an important significance, especially in America or in the Christian countries, because it's very close to Christmas.
Sure.
And so people say, well, the Christians have Christmas and the Jews have Hanukkah, and so it has taken on a very important significance. It also has other traditions. For example, during the holiday, presents are given to the young children in order to celebrate the holiday and to make them happy about the holiday. We also, because the tradition is that the miracle of the oil burning 8 days, we eat foods which are cooked in oil, although they may not be so healthy, but it's part of our tradition. So for example, we eat potato pancakes, which are fried in oil. We also eat jelly donuts, which are also fried in oil. And we celebrate things by commemorating the miracle of the oil that happened for our people.
That's a lot of good food, too.
It is a lot of good food. Yes, yes. Of course, everything always, you know, as with all faiths, everything always is central right around food.
It does seem to be that way, doesn't it? Always the best food whenever you're celebrating things.
That's right.
So let me ask you, kind of going back to the gifts and the children, since there are, 8 days of celebrating, is there a gift a night, or do they receive presents at the end of it, or how is that done?
Well, there's different traditions. Some people will give a gift a night. Sometimes you give money, which we call gelt, which is a Jewish word for money. In my family, when I was growing up, we got all of our presents on the first night. I remember one year I was very lucky, and I was 18 years old, and I got the keys to my parents' car that year. So that was pretty exciting. So, the presents are sometimes big, sometimes small. Whatever is done to keep the children's interest and to make them excited about the holiday.
And kind of going back to the money, something I had learned is maybe the connection people might not realize, but the gold coins, correct? There's a significance there, and sometimes we eat them, and inside's chocolate nowadays for the kiddos.
Well, the gold coins commemorate the gold coins that were used during the time of the Greeks when the Jewish people were rebelling against the Greek subjugation of them. And so we commemorate that by using those gold coins. You'll see them sometimes filled with chocolate, as you mentioned. Yes, very good. And we also have another tradition, which is great, which is we play dreidel. Dreidel is a very fun game where you spin a little top, and you have like a pool that you put money into. And sometimes if your number comes up when you spin the top, then you win the money. Sometimes you have to add money. So it's a sort of a cute game that the people play also to celebrate Hanukkah.
And I know there's a song that goes along with that, because I've actually heard the dreidel song before, and I know a lot of people probably know the dreidel song too, correct?
You know, it's funny because I call the dreidel song my Hanukkah haiku. It's a little poem, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, oh dreidel, I will play.
So do you sing the song before you play?
Yeah,
Is that
you sing the song
as
you play the game, and it's a very festive time. It's a time of rejoicing to commemorate the miracles that happened to our people and the great victory that we had over our oppressors at that time.
I love it. Sounds very fun. Well, we need to take a quick break, but we are not done talking about Hanukkah. Much more coming up on the other side of the break. Welcome back to Inside Texoma. Once again, I am joined with Rabbi Kislin, and he is here today just really sharing so much about Hanukkah, and we appreciate this, and such an important time, of course, to celebrate Hanukkah and all the miracles that were done. You were telling us about that just before the break, and the menorah, of course, used to remind everyone about the miracles. So kind of going back to the menorah, you see the candles are lined up, but there's one that sticks out from the rest. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, that's a good question. That candle right here is called a shamash. A shamash means it's a server candle, and we use this extra candle to light the other candles. The other candles are considered to be sacred, and so therefore we don't want to light one candle from the other. Rather, we use the server candle to light one candle and the next candle and the next candle. And the way that we do this, the first night, of course, we would light just one candle. The second night we would light 2 candles, the third night 3 candles, until we come to the 8th day when we have, as you see here, all the 8 candles burning. And the shamash, the server candle, is something that we use every night to light all the candles. That's its purpose.
Now, is this something that, kind of going back to the children again, because you said this is a way to remember, and of course, remember the miracle that was done and to teach others, but is this something that children get to take part in as well, or? That's right.
As I remember, as I was growing up as a young kid, one of my most important milestones was that I was going to be able to light my own menorah, my own candelabra. And that was something very exciting. I remember I was a young boy, and my parents bought me a nice little candelabra, and they put the candles in. Of course, they didn't let me light the matches. That they had to do.
Sure.
But still, I was able to light the candles, and we say certain blessings before we light the candles. Prayers to celebrate the commemoration of the candles, and that was a very big milestone for me when I was growing up. So, you know, that's something really, really cool for the young kids. I'm sure they all wait for that, a young Jewish boy and girl waiting for their time when they're going to get their own menorah and light their own candles, something very nice.
Absolutely. How is Hanukkah also celebrated at the synagogue?
Well, at the synagogue we'll have a public lighting of the candles. We also, everybody brings in their menorah to the synagogue, and we have a communal table where we put them all, and everybody lights their menorahs together. We sing some songs, some prayers and songs, which we would normally say, and then of course we have food. We have a big dinner, and we eat some of the fried foods, which although they might not be good for your heart, but they're good for your soul.
There you go.
That's right. Good Jewish soul food.
Well, you know, it's good to splurge and enjoy yourself a couple of
once
times
a year.
Anyways, yes, once a year. So that's perfect. Now, this is 8 nights though, correct? You're coming back every single night, bringing your menorah as well.
Right. Well, most people will celebrate in the home. We have one communal night that we celebrate together at the synagogue. But everybody lights their candles. Even the younger children also, as we mentioned, have their own candelabra, and they're able to light their candles, and it's a very, very big celebration.
Now, let me ask you about the date. You know, Christmas always falls on the 25th. does Hanukkah always start at the same time?
Well, my mother always says that the Jewish holidays are either early or late, but they're never on time. And so this year, Hanukkah begins on the 21st of December, and it goes for 8 days after that. Some years it's a little bit earlier, some years it's a little bit later. The Jewish calendar works a little bit differently from the regular secular calendar that we follow. So sometimes we're in the beginning of December, sometimes we're at the end of December. This year it's a little bit late at the end of December.
So that's probably, I guess, where the connection, like you were saying
That's
earlier,
right.
the connection
That's
a lot
right.
of people have to Hanukkah and Christmas.
And Christmas,
so.
sure, because Christmas is such a big holiday, and it's very commercialized also, and Hanukkah has also become commercialized. Although here in Texoma, where we have only a small community, you don't see it. But if you lived where there was a large Jewish community, you would see Hanukkah presents and decorations and candelabras and candles and oil and all those things that people need to celebrate. They would be in the stores. You would see those in the stores.
Well, Rabbi Kislin, I appreciate you sharing so much about Hanukkah and sharing it with us, and of course Texoma. So thank you so much for your time, and we appreciate you being here. And thank you, Texoma, as always, for joining us. We'll see you back here next Sunday morning for another look inside Texoma.